Can content creation turn your service business into a profitable venture? This week on She Means Business, we are talking to Joan Thuo about the ins and outs of building a business in the service industry. This is She Means Business. I am your host, Claire Munde. Hi, Joan.
Hi.
Welcome to She Means Business.
Thank you.
Now, today we want to talk about the service side of business. You run a service. You're a career coach and you do a number of things. Now, we want to talk about, using social media. You've used social media quite well to project your brand and the service that you provide. So I'd like you to start off by telling us a little bit more about yourself. Take us through your educational background to where you are right now, running a firm that specializes in career coaching and helping people get those jobs.
Yeah. So I actually did psychology in college because I wanted to be a counselor. That was actually my area of passion. But then I specialized in a branch of psychology called industrial psychology, which entails matching people with their right careers. So that was my minor. Then after college, I thought I'd get a job in counseling. I tried applying here and there. I got a job as a school counselor, which I really loved. And then after that, this organization was hiring for. They wanted HR professionals, but then they needed somebody who had a psychology background. So that's how I got into corporate. Then I worked for a couple of years. Then I felt I'd reached the ceiling and I wanted to branch off and do something else. So at that point is when I started my business. Yeah.
Okay, so when you started your business, how did you go about it? Did you just wake up one day and you said, okay, let me do my own thing? Or did you analyze the market and you saw there was a need for people who needed to get jobs and they were struggling? What was that like? So,
two things. So the first thing, I remember my sister needing her CV done. Her CV done, her cover letter and LinkedIn profile. And because I could do it, I did it for her. And she ended up getting a very good job. So I thought to myself, if I can do this for her, and then she actually paid me. I was not going to charge her, but she actually paid me because she was so happy. And then she told all her friends. So I started just getting clients. So I just remember thinking to myself, if I can do this for her, and actually, she liked it so much that she paid me, maybe it's something that I can do. So I would say that really catapulted me. And then also I had my friend from college who had started her business and she was doing very, very well. She's actually the one who kept saying, John, if you did business, you'd be so good at it because I know you. So I think those two factors combined gave me the, is it motivation or the push that I needed to, start my own business.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about about starting that business.
Yeah.
But tell me, okay, you helped your sister with the CV, you helped a couple of friends with their CV.
Yeah.
What is it that you would say a lot of people struggle with when it comes to putting themselves out there when applying for jobs? Because I'm imagining for you to be still in this business, there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
People are not quite able to sell themselves right when looking for those jobs. So what are some of the common mistakes you see people making?
So number one, I think many people don't believe the importance of a good CV, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile up to date. I know I sing about it like almost every day on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Many people don't believe. Many people think because I'm very good at what I do, even if my CV is shoddy, they're going to give me a job, and that's not true. In fact, there are people who are less qualified than you who are getting interviews just because they have a better CV than you. So I think that's the first thing, that people don't think that a CV is very important. And then number two, I think also there are people who are very good at what they do. They are like very good talent, but they just don't know how to put together a good document because it's not their area of strength. Like now, for example, maybe someone is a very good doctor and they're very good at what they do, but they cannot put themselves together on paper. So the document they end up having is like not up to par. And then unfortunately, because jobs are very few, like jobs are very scarce. So a HR will just put out a job advert, and now unfortunately they're going to shortlist the best CVs. They're probably not the best talent, but unfortunately they'll shortlist the best CVs.
Yeah. So tell me about these best CVs. I want specifics, like, okay, that doctor is good at what they do and they're not presenting themselves properly in the CV. How do you present yourself right? I know there are so many careers, but how do you present yourself right so that that HR gets you, calls you up for the interview? Then we'll talk about when you get to the interview.
All right. So let's start by, nowadays we have two types of CVs. We have the modern CV and the ATS compliant CV. When you're sending your CV to a particular person, to a particular email address, you always use the modern CV. When you're sending it, when companies, puts out a job advert and then they tell you to upload a CV online, you always upload an ATS CV. So now you see how, if the only CV I have is a modern CV and they ask me to upload it online and this modern CV is not ATS compliant, I'm never going to get shortlisted for that job. So I would say, like, not having the right type of CV. Another common mistake is, grammatical errors, syntax errors. There are people who put information that's not supposed to be there, your date of birth, if you're married or not. Such information can disqualify you even before, like someone reads on your CV. The people who have, their CVs are too long. They're like 6 pages. Others, CVs are too short. There are people whose CVs lack any kind of detail. Like, you just read a CV and you can tell this person, was not serious when they are creating this document. There are people who put, like tables and things that are not supposed to be there on the CV, that you look at that document and clearly you just know this person is not a serious candidate. And maybe it's just because they don't know.
Okay. Now for the viewers who are watching and they're like ATS compliant versus modern CV, just break it down because we don't want to assume everybody.
All right. Okay, so ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. So if you're applying to an organization like Google, there are thousands of applicants. One person cannot go through 50,000 CVs. So there's a software that is going to shortlist some CVs and send to HR. Then HR is going to do a further shortlist. So this software, they'll feed in some keywords. So if your CV has the correct words and it's in the correct format, there's a high likelihood that it's going to be shortlisted. So if you're applying to multinationals, you are better off using an ATS compliant CV because it's going to pass through that software.
Okay.
Is it clear?
It's clear.
Yes.
It's clear.
However, now the modern CV, we tailor it for a human being. So it has graphics, it's colorful. We put things that you're not going to find in a traditional CV, like your life philosophy, how you spend your time, what are your like career highlights, what is your industry expertise, and we break it down in a way that is very visually attractive. So I can guarantee you, the modern CVs we make, it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have or if you have a degree or not. If somebody sees that modern CV, you are getting shortlisted.
Okay. Now let's talk about AI because you've talked about those keywords that will help you get shortlisted. What are your thoughts on AI? Because there are some employers that are very specific. If you use AI, and we'll be able to tell you use AI and you won't get the job. So what's the place of AI when people are looking for jobs?
That's a very good question. So even personally, I can read a CV and I automatically can tell that this one was done by a human being and this one was not done by a human being. So I would use AI to make it easy for me to create a CV. I would use AI to help me know what are some of the keywords I can put, what can I not put, but I wouldn't use AI to do the whole document completely, because then someone can tell, an experienced recruiter and hiring manager would automatically tell that this is an AI document. So personally, I want to use AI to make my work easier, faster, and better, and but not do it, like entirely.
So just know the balance.
Yes, the human aspect needs to be there.
Okay. So let's talk about now. We're going to go back to the business side, but I want the viewers who might be thinking they want some tips to get them. So talking about the actual interview. So you can help somebody get the interview, but if you're not able to ace that interview, then what next? Because people's personalities are different. So how does someone, or how do you go about preparing someone for an interview? Because you can prepare someone, but then they go and they freeze.
Yeah.
So what are the tips for someone to ace an interview?
Okay, so I do, so many interview preps in any given week. And the first thing I would say is you need to prepare for the interviews because what normally happens is you can think that you know how to answer some questions, but you don't know. So simple questions like, tell us a little bit about yourself. Someone would start talking about, I'm the third born and I like eating ugali and sukuma wiki and I grew up in Nanyuki. That's not what we want to know. We want to know, who are you in relation to this job that you're applying to? And there are people who honestly do not know how to answer that question. We'd ask you, why did you leave your previous employer? My employer was so toxic, they didn't pay me enough. And maybe they're being very honest, but automatically you've lost the job. We ask you, why do you want to work for us? I want to work for you because I want to learn. I'm a very fast learner and I want to get a good mentor. That can be true. But you see, there's no organization that wants to hire a student. We want to hire you because we want you to come and work. So many people fail interviews because they just do not know the right answers to give. So those questions, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? You see, when we ask about your weaknesses, what we are testing is your emotional intelligence. So I cannot be hiring you for an admin position and you tell me that one of my weaknesses is that I'm not very organized. I'm not going to give you the job. Even if it's true, you cannot say. So I want a weakness that is, yes, authentic, but then it's not going to be you shooting yourself directly on the foot.
Like what?
So like now, for example, I would say like one of my weaknesses is I struggle when it comes to, I struggle in social events, and that's actually a very true weakness. When you see me out there, you can think I'm very extroverted, but I'm not. I'm very introverted. So one of the things that I'm doing to ensure that this weakness is not standing in the way of me doing my job well is putting myself out there, trying to go for as many social events as possible just to improve my sociability. You see, that has nothing to do with me writing CVs. Whether I'm social or not, I will still do a perfect CV. So that's an authentic weakness that I can give. Because remember, they're testing your emotional intelligence. Highly emotionally intelligent people know what their strengths are and their weaknesses are. Highly emotionally intelligent people are doing something to ensure that their weaknesses are not standing in the way of them performing their job well.
Okay, okay. And tell us about yourself. What am I supposed to say? I'm not talking about skuma and whatnot.
Yes, so you're not talking about skuma and where you're born. You're telling them, who are you in relation to this job that you're applying to? So you have read and internalized the job description. Tell us about, you can talk about your education background, what certifications do you have, what work experience do you have that is aligned to this job that you're applying to. That's it. That's enough.
Yeah. And this question about why do you want this job? And there are people who have different philosophies. I want the pay. And it's true. You have come to work for pay. Yes, you're passionate about it. But then there are people who say, oh, you get blacklisted if you talk about pay. But you're going to work to be paid. So how do you go about that?
All right. So let me just say, do not leave an interview before you have told them why you're the best candidate for this position, whether they ask you or not. The what, the how, and the why is so important. Why do you want this job? How are you the best candidate for this job? And if you're to get this position, what value would you bring? Never leave an interview until you've articulated that. So why should we hire you for this position? What skills, what education, what passions and interests do you have that are aligned to this job that you're applying to? You'd be so surprised that many people go for interviews and they do not know whether it's an FMCG company or this company, they make bread or it's a hotel. So you come and it's it's an FMCG company and you think it's oil and gas. You see how the interview is already over. So you need, every time you're going for an interview, the what, how, and why answer needs to be in your mind.
And the money aspect.
The money aspect is important. And if you follow me on social media, you know I normally talk about salary negotiation. Many people have never negotiated their salary since their first job. There are so many people who, if you check, the person you went to school, the same school, graduated the same year, you probably got a higher GPA than them. They are earning 3 times because they negotiated from day one. Because they are job hopping. This after every 2 years I'm moving. After every 2 years I'm moving. You probably think if I move I'm not going to be, you know, people will not see me as a serious person. But excuse me, someone is getting 30% every 2 years, but you're just stuck and you have never negotiated your salary. You are okay with the 80K and maybe you're supposed to be getting 250. So salary negotiation is very important. But then you see, before you get to the salary negotiation, you need to put your value. So that by the time you're saying, my expectation is 300K net, even them, they can see she's worth that money.
Yeah. So I want us to stay a little bit more on that salary negotiation and that thing about hopping, because there are those people who say, like, people even stay for 6 months and move and move. And I think I saw a post where you are talking about your philosophy. There's a certain amount of time you shouldn't go past at a certain company. You should keep on moving. So speak about those two things. The value that you're articulating and how to go about negotiations, and then how long should you be at one organization generally?
So for me, it's about purpose and not volume. You know, when you're staying in an organization, when you're speaking, when you're doing anything, it's always about the purpose and not how much. So if I see someone has moved after 6 months, it could be after those 6 months they finished everything they were supposed to finish. For me, being in an organization for 15 years does not say anything. I want to know, what have you done? There are people who've been in places for 25 years, even others we probably know and we cannot name names. But then there's nothing, they have nothing to show for it. So it does not say anything. What have you been able to do and accomplish, and what value have you brought to that particular organization is what is important. Whether you do it in 6 months or 10 years or 15 years, it's about, you know, that the value that you're bringing. I would not advise that you stay in an organization even like for more than for me, like 5 years is too long. Because number one, the money. Because you see, every time you're moving, you're getting a 30% increment. Every time you're moving, there's something that you are learning. So it could be you've gone to a different organization, it's a different industry. So you're building your CV. Every time you move, you force yourself to be outside of your comfort zone. Not everyone is going to be able to move, but if you're good talent and you have that capacity, I would say move. Learn what you need to learn and keep going. Don't find yourself in a situation, because what normally happens to many people is they get to a place and then they just become comfortable. You're just comfortable with that, even 250,000. You're like, let me just stay. If I lose this job, hakuna kazi Kenya. So I want to hold on to this with my dear life. So you'll never do your CV. Your LinkedIn profile has a picture from like 10 years ago. So people are looking at your profile, but then they're not contacting you because there's nothing. Your CV is old, dust and rusty. So even when you see a job, and then you think, you know, by the time I do my CV and cover letter, you just give up and you don't make the job application. So I would say, staying in an organization for more than 5 years, you're actually doing yourself a disservice, especially if you have the capacity. Not everyone has that capacity. There are people who stay in one organization for many years and they're happy and they're successful. It could be that you also want to stay in one place because maybe you've started a family. You don't want the, you know, to be disorganized, which is also fine. So different people have like different goals, but if you have the capacity and ability, I would say move.
Okay. Now we're going to come back to the business side, but you spoke about that LinkedIn. So what does a good LinkedIn profile look like?
All right. So let me start by saying, when you're investing in your LinkedIn profile, you are investing in your own brand. That you're going to get a job is just a byproduct of you investing in your brand. Should that organization cut you loose, there's a whole community of people on LinkedIn who know you as you and not, you know, nothing to do with your organization. So when you're building your own LinkedIn profile, you are investing in your own online brand, and it's going to come in handy 5 years, 10 years from now. For me, I would say LinkedIn is my bread and my butter. Like, that's where I started my business. That's the platform that I have, you know, the biggest community, and that's where I've been able to make money. I've made from other platforms, but for me, LinkedIn has been the one. And especially after COVID, there are so many people who can tell you they've gotten jobs. You know, they've been headhunted on LinkedIn. Again, there are people who don't know this information, I think people hear and they think that we are lying, or no, it's not true, but it is true that people have gotten jobs, very good jobs, lucrative jobs. I personally, the people who have contacted me, given me contracts, people who don't know me, it's just that they've seen my profile, and we've signed and done work. So I know it works. So every time you're not, when you're not investing in your LinkedIn profile, you're losing money, because I could have come to your profile and not shortlisted you just because it looks funny, or you don't even have a profile picture. It's just a silhouette. So I'm wondering, are you a ghost, or like, you know, like what is going on? So just simple things, even your profile picture, your cover photo, you have the correct names, the words that you put underneath your name that would help a hiring manager or recruiter find you on LinkedIn, your recommendations, the school that you went to. You see, on LinkedIn, if like we went to the same high school, and you put it on your LinkedIn, when you're reaching out to me and I go to high school and I see we went the same school, of course I'll be so eager to help you, even if you probably went 5 years after I left. But just because we were in the same high school or we were in the same university, it does not matter which years, I'm more inclined to help you. So just small things would really, you know, help you as you're even trying to network on LinkedIn. So the other thing is that LinkedIn is a very good platform to network, because networking is a must. If you're trying to transition, you're trying to get a job, you have to network. For those people like me who are very introverted, I need to force myself to be in any social gathering, but networking on LinkedIn for me is very easy. So you see how you cannot network and your LinkedIn profile is not up to par.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit more on that LinkedIn end. You're saying it's your bread and butter. How does it convert? And another thing you talked about, that it's a personal brand. So outside, if you lose your job, you still have your LinkedIn profile. But a lot of people talk about their job on LinkedIn. So what content should we be putting? Is it about our current work, or we should just be putting different content outside of work? What does that look like?
Okay, so you've had a meeting with yourself and you have decided, I'm a customer service professional. I work as a customer service professional in a bank. And maybe 5 years from now, I want to be a client experience manager. So the content that I should be putting out on LinkedIn is about customer service and experience. I should be connecting with other client, you know, service, customer service professionals in Kenya, in different industries across the world, because these are the people who are going to consume my content. So you see, if I start today, 5 years from now, I'll have a whole community around me on LinkedIn who know me as a client experience professional. So even if I lose my job, I'm not losing the fact that I am a client service professional. So I can reach out to so many people and tell them, oh, I'm looking for a job, or oh, I've started my business and this is what I'm doing. Does it make sense?
I get it.
So you are investing in your own brand, because let me tell you, an organization will not have any problem cutting you loose even tomorrow. So you need to invest in yourself just in case of any eventuality.
Okay. Now let's talk about making money through LinkedIn. So what does that look like? Are you only talking about being headhunted, or are there other mechanisms of making money through LinkedIn?
So you see, for me, my business is CVs, LinkedIn, you know, like branding someone for an interview, career coaching, interview prep. And I started doing this, like so many years ago. So I started being active on LinkedIn when I was in HR in corporate, because I needed to get talent. So I started like way back. So for all these years, people have known me as a recruiter, as a HR consultant, as a career coach. And so when I started my business, I already had a community of people who knew me as a recruiter. So it was very easy for me to get clients. Does it make sense?
I get it. Okay.
So, and that's why I'm a very strong believer that even when you're employed, you need to invest in your own brand outside of the company that you're in. So for me, that's how I was able to convert. So I would say number one, that I started very early, and then number two, content. So for like many years, if anyone has been following me, I put out content around how to make a CV, how to make a cover letter, how to prepare yourself for interview, and I try and make my content, I try and be very consistent, and also I I also think about the quality of the content.
Okay, let's talk about that content. You're very big, okay, yes, on LinkedIn, but also Instagram, and you put a lot of content out there. Funny ones as well. So tell me, when you're running a business, what is the place of this content that you create? Let's talk about, let's say, for instance, Instagram. You'll put like funny things. How is that contributing to the business side of what you do?
Okay, so here's the thing, and this for me, I don't know about other people, but for me it's tried and tested. Any day I do not put out content, it's going to be very difficult to get business. And so you want to think about your the people who follow you, what are they following you for? So for me, people follow me because of career content. They follow me because of also motherhood content. They follow me because sometimes, every once in a while, I'll just post some funny things.
Yeah.
So you'll be surprised the day I post something that has nothing to do with CV, but it's just funny, you know, it's neither here nor there. You see what is going to happen. People are going to share, like and share that content. So when you get the funny video, you'll be like, who is this Joan? So you're probably thinking she's just like a random person. Then when you go to my page, you find career content.
Okay.
And then you notice she's not a joker, she's actually a serious person.
Okay.
So every once in a while, I try and do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, there are people who follow me because of motherhood content. So I'll put out something on motherhood. It's going to get shares. So when someone comes to my page, they're like, she's not only is she a mother, but she does career. Yeah. So it's very calculated.
Okay, I can see the strategy. Yeah, because I followed you because of motherhood content. Then I came to realize the coaching part of it. So and then, you know, there are people who say that as you're building your brand, you can confuse people. So you're a career coach, of course. Yeah, you have other facets of yourself. You're a mother. You do funny things. So how do you differentiate your brand? So you want people to know you as the career coach. But you're saying it's strategic. When it goes viral, then someone will realize, she also does the career coaching. How do you differentiate? Because there are some people who say, if you're the career coach, just put career content only. If you're a motherhood blogger, just do that. So how do you strike the balance and not confuse people?
Yeah. I know Emily is going to attest to this because she'll keep telling me, you are a career coach. Why am I being confused by your content? Where can't I see career? Because sometimes I think also if I don't get reminded, for me sometimes I just get you just get bored. So I think people should just be allowed to, because you see, as a creative, I don't want to talk about CVs every day. There are days I want to talk about like something else. I want to talk about motherhood. I want to talk about just like funny things, like about life. For as long as it's not very confusing to my, like to my audience, because I think at this point, I don't know, I think it's very difficult not to be associated with career at this point. But it has been after like very many years. It's very difficult not to be associated with motherhood. So what I noticed, and like from my page, is that any post on motherhood does better than actually the career content. Like any post on like family, motherhood, actually does better than the career content. But then of course it's it's the career coaching. That's number one. That's my bread and my butter, and many people also would follow me because of that. However, as a creative, I personally give myself permission to post what I feel in the moment. And so sometimes, you'd get people telling you, I followed you because of career. Why are you telling us about other things? And then I'm like, this is my page. And personally I'm a creative, so whatever it is I feel like posting in the moment, I will. I don't think there's no time I've ever sat down and thought, I'm not going to post this because it's not related to, I don't think. It's not, I don't think it's something that I do. I allow myself to be creative, because then again, the more you create, the more you get, I don't know how I can put it, like that juice for creation just comes when you're doing other like random things that are probably like outside of what you do like on a day-to-day basis. So you were awarded LinkedIn influencer at a point, and
you're known out there. So let's speak about that, striking the balance, because yeah, with your motherhood content, you put your sons out there. How do you strike a balance? Because you know, once these things are out there, you don't know who is posting what. How do you strike that balance to make sure that the privacy of your children is protected? How do you go about that?
Okay, so I'm not the person who is going to just post a toe and a hand and
an
like
emoji
a side and put an emoji on my no, I think, and you see, like, that's also a personal decision. There are people who would, you know, for religious reasons and whatever reasons, but I'm not that. I'm not the ones for like a toe. Like, if I'm posting, I'm posting.
Oh my goodness. So how do you maintain the privacy, or you're just like?
So that's the first thing. So for me, I think I don't do the emoji or whatever. The day I feel convicted, or the day something happens that I've never felt, you know, their lives are in danger or anything like that. But maybe I don't know. Maybe it happens to people at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just me.
If you feel it, then you decide.
But I've never felt like any need to. No, I've never felt any need to put
an emoji or put a toe and everything. Okay, let's go back to the business side of providing a service. So how do you go about making sure that you continue to earn enough? Because the service industry it has its own up and downs, yeah? So how do you go about pricing yourself?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So of course, over the years, I've evolved, and there are so many things that you need to put into consideration. So for me, what I normally do is I really try and I continuously reinvent, and I want to continuously think about, like, my clients, what do they need? Like, can I put together a package that would benefit a job seeker? So when I think about a job seeker, I'm thinking they need a modern CV, they need an ATS CV, they need a cover letter, they need interview prep. Maybe someone cannot afford all this. Maybe, so what is the most important? They need a modern CV, they need a cover letter. But now you see, if that job requires ATS, they probably cannot apply for that job. So, like, just playing around with, like, the different packages. That has been very important. Running offers, so that then, you know, like, when they're not able to afford the usual prices, I try and have offers here and there, just to make the services also available for, like, many people. Yes, but I try as much as possible to put myself in the job seekers' shoes and think, what do I need to effectively land a job in 2025? Because the truth of the matter is, landing a job in 2025 is not the same as how it was in 2018. So many things have changed. Because you've talked about the process of coming up with the product. What does the client need? But I want us to talk about the pricing element. How do you go about pricing yourself to ensure that you are meeting your overheads and everything, and you're actually making a profit? And I also say this because, you know, that everyone's pocket is different, right? So Joanne may be the coach for me, or she may not be. And you've had it before, that people will be like, oh, you're expensive, but maybe that's not your target audience. So speak to that, because there are different people who view services differently. Okay, so one of the things is, and I think many people don't know this, we are in over 25 countries. So you can imagine how many CVs we are churning out actually every hour. How many CVs, how many cover letters, how many LinkedIn profiles, how many interview prep sessions, how many career coaching are happening at any given moment. I think because people see my face, they think it's only Joan. So Joan is going to do the CV, Joan is going to do the LinkedIn profile, but we are a whole team, because we actually in different parts of the world.
How big is your team?
We are about 15. So Joan is not going to do your, like, sometimes, but not all that. Maybe it's me, maybe it's my colleague, or like any other person. You know, like different time zones, you know. And for me, quality is very important because 80% of our business has been through referrals. And that, like that number is not like a small number. And so 100% I'm like a strong believer of the quality. So the quality of the CV, the quality of the ATS, to the best of our ability. It's never going to be 100% correct. I cannot say that there's no CV, of course we've had CVs that have gone out and maybe, there are errors here and there. Because it's human beings who are doing these CVs. It's not AI. It's not machine. So there'll be errors here and there. But to the best of our abilities, we try and ensure that the CV you get, you can apply for a job in Kenya, the States, wherever. And we've had like many of our clients in different parts of the world attesting to that fact that, I applied my job in Silicon Valley and I was able to get a job. So for me, quality is very important. And so that pricing factors that in, that we are the quality and then also the turnaround time. So quality, turnaround time, and then also volumes. So we are churning out like many different services in like every hour. We are communicating with different people in different parts of the world. It's a whole business. But I think people normally confuse because they think it's just Joan. She's probably doing 2 CVs. Why doesn't she want to talk to me? Why?
Yeah. And talk to us then about separating your business from the brand, because a lot of this business, I'm assuming, is coming because of Joan. You're the brand that has been projected. So how do you go about separating your business from you? How do you go about that? Or is it that's part of the strategy that you're the face of it?
So, you see, I did not, when I was starting the business, I honestly thought we'll be just doing like 5 CVs. Like, who would have thought, you can make money writing CVs? Like, even when I started, it was just like the way you can start baking bread in your kitchen, then you sell to 1 person, then you sell to 2 people, then all of a sudden, like 50 people want. So I did not expect it to be so big as it is today. So I had not factored that in when I was starting the business. So, I was just doing like educational videos. This is how you write a CV. I just did not think it was going to be anything big. And then until it was, and then now I'm beginning to have those conversations. But at the moment, like I'm the face of the business.
Yeah. And let's talk about that who would have thought. So when you are leaving formal employment in corporate and all that, how did you prepare yourself to start a business? Because it can work or it may not work. So how did you prepare yourself financially? If it doesn't work, are you going to go back? How did you prepare yourself financially?
I didn't.
You didn't? You just jumped? You are just like...
I didn't. I was talking about this with my friend. I think I'm the kind of person who thrives under stress. If things are going on well, I'm like, where are the problems? Like, why are things so peaceful? So I think I thrive when I'm stressed and there's so much pressure. I'm the kind of person who will get to the edge and jump because I know like the wings are going to come at some point. I don't recommend this. Please, if you're watching, like, please do not do this. It's not for everyone. So for me, I had to make it or make it. There's no plan B.
Wow.
Yeah, there was no plan B. It was very difficult. And that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't advise anyone to do that because it was very, very difficult. Like my first years of business, when I was just getting a few clients here and there, because you see, the other thing that I do is HR consulting. I know I don't talk about it a lot, but I do. So like if an organization is looking to hire people, like let's say a hotel, so I will do all the hiring and then outsource the employees to them. So it's something that like I also do. But then of course when I started my business, clients were very few. And it was very difficult for a few years, and then now things just picked up.
Okay, so let's talk about what has been your biggest business mistake this far.
Okay, so let me see. I need some time to think about that, but I would say, as I said, when I didn't expect the growth, so we have been growing faster than I was ready for, because I thought I'd just be doing 15 CVs. So I think my biggest mistake has been I was not prepared for the rapid growth, and so I'm having to now the work is too much. We need to add people. so I think I would say the mistake is not anticipating and doing things because the need now is here. You know, like we need office space now. Can we get now? So like maybe I'm not very good at planning. Yeah.
Okay, so what has been your biggest business mistake this far?
So I would say lack of planning, because we grew faster than I anticipated. So I did not anticipate the growth. I did not anticipate how fast we'd grow. So that the lack of planning, I would say, has been the biggest.
Okay. Okay. And what has been your biggest success business-wise?
I would say being in different countries, like being in different parts of the world. That, you know, the testimonies that, you know, people in like very big offices, very big organizations saying that they got the jobs because of, like, you know, a CV we did. That to me has been the creme de la creme.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I want us to switch gears a little bit and get to know more about you. What do you do for fun?
I have 3 boys, so I have very limited time, but I love to travel. I love swimming. Yeah, I think those 2.
So what are you currently reading?
The Bible, of course. January to December.
Yeah. What's your favorite book in the Bible?
Ruth, the book of Ruth.
Why?
Because I think she's a lady who went through so much pain, and then just to see her life turning around beautifully in the end, just like an amazing book.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you listening to? What kind of music?
I love music generally. I like a wide range. Mostly Christian music. I love Kikuyu music. I would say Kikuyu music.
Okay.
Yeah, Kikuyu gospel music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up, I'd like you to look into the camera and speak to job seekers, people who are trying to grow in their careers or anything. What's that one piece of advice that you would give them to move from where they are to that level that they want to get to?
Okay. Can I give 3?
Yes.
Quick pointers?
Yes.
So the first thing I would say, invest in your personal brand. Work on your CV, your cover letter, your LinkedIn, because remember, these documents are what go ahead of you before you step into any room. So how you look online on LinkedIn, how you look on paper on your CV, how you look on your cover letter is going to speak volumes about you before you enter into any interview room. I would also say prepare for interviews, prepare answering some frequently asked interview questions like, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are your strengths? What is your salary expectation? Do you have any questions for us? I would also say invest in your personal brand. Remember, an organization will not have any problem cutting you loose. If something was to happen to you today, trust me, your replacement is going to be found within 24 hours. So invest in your own personal brand. Also, do not be afraid of job hopping. Never be afraid of looking for better opportunities at any one given time. Because we don't know, like, about tomorrow, we could have like another COVID, something, you know, like can happen and then you lose your job. So never stop investing in yourself and investing in your personal brand. Yes.
Thank you. You have heard it from Joan Thuo, Joan the Career Coach. Never stop investing in your personal brand. This has been She Means Business. I have been your host, Claire Munde. Until next time, have a good one.